What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Day 3 of our sourdough from scratch series. First, I want to start off by having Carol join me. Come over here, honey. Hi. Malika, this one's for you.
You're
Malika
so
said,
sweet, Malika.
basically, the only reason she watches is to catch glimpses of Carol, which
You're
makes
so sweet.
sense.
That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all day.
Oh.
No, I'm getting out of the shot though.
Okay, so a couple things to talk about today. The number one thing is our to-do list, and just like yesterday, the only thing that we need to do is add flour and water to our starter. This is day 3, so see if your starter looks anything like this. I'm super happy about the little bubbles and the general consistency of the starter. It doesn't smell sour at all, which is probably not going to happen for a while. I don't think ours started getting super sour for weeks or so, right, Dave? Do you remember? Doesn't remember. But if you compare, this is our 9-month-old starter, and this is our 3-day-old starter. Pretty legit, right, Jess? What do you think, buddy?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So today, the last 2 days we've added 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water to the starter. Today, we're going to add 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water, which means to me, I need a bigger container because that's a decent amount. So what I'm going to do is, before I zero out the scale, I'm going to dump all of this in. That's awesome. That's happy starter. Okay. Cool. Then we're going to zero out the scale. There we go. It's on grams. And 100 of each. Is that 70, Jess? Where are we at?
I'm not looking, sorry.
85. Okay, 103. That's close enough. 103 is good. Warm water, not hot water, just like the last 2 days. It's 100 grams of warm water. And this is so exciting. There we go. 201. Awesome. There's a bunch of different charts out there on, if you don't have a scale, how much a cup of flour weighs versus a cup of water. Each one I've looked at says something slightly different. It's not a super big deal as long as they match, but the one I posted in the comments yesterday I think is best. I'll post it again today. Okay, here we go. Just a gentle mix. Nothing super fancy. We just want to blend it all together. Another question I had is if your starter isn't looking like this consistency, if it's way drier or way wetter, you can just do little pinches of either flour or water to get it close. Make sense? That's it for today's assignment. The rest is Q&A and a little bit of a schedule review. The other thing, yeah, it seems like once it rests, it gets a little more moist for some reason. I don't know why, but it seems to start out gooier and then it gets wetter. Okay? Okay, we will set that aside. Oh yeah, so the other thing, don't close the lid tight, but it doesn't have to stay. At this point, room temp is good. Just rest a lid over the top. That's good enough. If you have fruit in the corner, if your children haven't eaten all the fruit, that's fine, but you don't have to. Okay, let's see here. Lots of questions about Dutch ovens. And so this again is my favorite. This is a 5-quart Lodge brand doesn't matter. 5-quart Dutch oven. I got it at Target. The reason these are important is because the first 15 to 17 minutes you leave the lid on, and that lets the moisture all stay and it helps the dough rise better. So what I do, and I talked about this morning in the comments, I have 2 of these because I bake 2 loaves at once. They go in when I first turn on the oven, and I preheat the oven to 500 degrees, and it takes about a half an hour for everything to fully preheat. Then I put the loaves in each with the lids on for 17 minutes, and then I take the lids off, and then for 22 minutes the bread bakes.
Will each batch produce two
Batch,
loaves?
Yep, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Each batch produces 2 loaves for containers this size. If you have a different size container, I would love to try more of an oval loaf so it's not so round because the middle slices are gigantic, but these are fine. People have asked about pans like this, which are built to stack. What are these pans called, Jake? Just Lodge. It's just called a pan. Cast iron skillet. You can see it's almost the same height, and the bread I bake certainly doesn't touch the ceiling in here, so I've never tried it with this, and it takes up more space in the oven, but I think it's fine. A Le Creuset, anything with this rough height is fine, but the bread gets relatively tall. I had only ever baked in these because this is what I read about. But this morning I baked a loaf just on a cookie sheet next to the other loaves, and it looked a little bit funny. I put some pictures on earlier. The inside looks totally normal. It tastes real good. It tastes almost identical. A little more burnt maybe on the bottom because of the cookie sheet, and a little bit not as sort of crunchy-ish, but it was fine. It certainly doesn't look as pretty, but it is what it is.
That was just on a cookie sheet?
Just on one of these puppies. If you don't have one of these, but you have a pizza stone would be better than this. Or maybe stack these. Not super awesome, but hopefully a Dutch oven ideally in the long run. Quick plug, since I've got it out here, for my favorite butter. We haven't sampled all of the butters out there, but this salted French butter from Fred Meyer QFC is super delish. Don't go to the store just for butter. Stay home. But if you have to go to the store, maybe they have this and you could grab it and then wash your hands. Public service announcement. Okay? All right. Here's the tricky part let's see, we're on Wednesday, day 3. Tomorrow we're doing the same thing. We just add 150 grams of flour and water, which brings us to a grand total of 450 grams. Then Saturday, we feed our starter and prepare the dough to bake. Saturday is the real work day. Sunday morning is the baking day. So fun. So Saturday, both Saturday and Sunday, I'm gonna post the videos earlier in the morning, and Jesse's gonna help me sort of time lapse them because it's a process. Saturday's process is at least 3 hours of just in total time, from making the dough, folding it a few times at least, and then put it in the fridge for the night. So we want to show you all that before you start. And if you have more than 3 hours, that's awesome, but 3 hours minimum. So we will do that early Saturday so that you have enough time. And I think that's it. I'm also going to post a couple of links to my favorite sourdough videos that Jake and I watched when we got started. You can watch ahead and see what happens. Totally fine, because you can't work ahead. You still have to wait for your sourdough starter to be ready. So I know you won't ditch me and skip the rest of the series. I think that's it for today. Did I miss anything, Jess?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, you want to show the support crew? Rosie? Jacob? Carol?
Oh.
Don't forget you. What's up? All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Good work. Bye.